My husband decided to surprise me. He bought tickets and said it was time for me to rest and change the scenery. After he drove me to the airport and left, I had almost reached the boarding gate when the cleaning lady suddenly stopped me. "Child, do not get on this plane. Come with me. You need to see this." Before we begin, write to us where you are watching us from. We are very interested in this. We wish you a pleasant listening experience with this fascinating story. Anna Petrovna Kravchenko was standing at the stove stirring the borscht when the noise of the lock was heard in the hallway. It was 7 o'clock in the evening, and Igor's return home at such a time was a surprise to her. Usually, her husband stayed at work until 9 or even until 10 o'clock, citing urgent business, meetings with partners, or checks at the warehouse. In the last 2 years, this had become a habit, and Anna no longer waited for him for dinner, leaving his food to warm on the stove. "Anna, are you home?" Igor's voice sounded somewhat particularly lively, even with a note of enthusiasm. Anna wiped her hands on her apron and went out into the hallway. Her husband was taking off his coat. An unusual smile played on his face. In his hands, he held an envelope. "Igor, why did you come so early? Did something happen?" she asked with slight concern. All surprises lately brought her more anxiety than joy. On the contrary, he hung his coat on the rack and went into the kitchen, placing the envelope on the table. "Sit down. I have something to tell you." Anna sat on the chair, studying her husband. Igor was 52 years old, and in recent years he had aged visibly. The bald spot on his crown had grown, bags had appeared under his eyes, and his belly had rounded, despite the expensive suits he wore. But now, a kind of enthusiasm burned in his eyes that she hadn't seen for many years. "I bought you a vacation ticket to Turkey for 2 weeks at a good hotel, all inclusive. The flight is the day after tomorrow." Anna blinked, not immediately understanding the meaning of the words. "A ticket for me? But why so suddenly?" Igor pushed the envelope toward her, and she saw the tickets and the hotel reservation confirmation inside. "Anna, I look at you and I realize that you are tired. You work, you keep the house. The whole household is on your shoulders. When was the last time we went somewhere together? 3 years ago? You deserve a rest, so I decided to surprise you." The words were correct, but something about them scratched at Anna. Maybe the fact that he said "for you," not "for us." Maybe the excessive haste, "the day after tomorrow." She took the ticket in her hand, studying it. Antalya, flight in 2 days at 11 o'clock in the morning. "But aren't you coming with me?" "I can't, Anna. I have chaos at work right now. An important transaction is closing. I would come with joy, but I have no way. Instead, you will rest, get a tan, relax. Sea, sun, pool. You need this. You really need it." Anna sat with the ticket in her hands, and a strange mixture of feelings grew inside her. On one hand, she was indeed tired. 20 years of marriage, work at the library, where she was the head librarian, endless household chores. Her daughter, Katerina, had grown up long ago, got married, and lived in another city. She called once a week, came to visit about 2 times a year. Her son, Maxim, was studying in another city and got in touch even more rarely. The children had grown and flown from the nest, and she and Igor remained alone in a 3-room apartment. And in recent years, they coexisted rather than lived together. On the other hand, such sudden generosity from her husband put her on guard. Igor wasn't stingy, but he didn't distinguish himself with particular wastefulness either. He was practical, calculating. Any major expense was discussed, planned, and here, suddenly, he goes and buys a vacation without even asking her if she wants to go somewhere alone. "Igor, but why so urgent? The day after tomorrow." "Anna, it was a good price, a last-minute offer. I thought you would be happy, but you sit with a face as if I haven't given you a gift, but a punishment." A note of irritation appeared in his voice. Anna felt a wave of guilt. Maybe she had indeed become too suspicious. Maybe her husband really wanted to please her. No, how can you say that? It's just that I didn't expect it. Thank you, of course. It's just that I have to organize everything at work, to announce it. You announce it tomorrow. You call the director, tell her you have family problems, or take sick leave. Anna, don't complicate things. It's just 2 weeks of rest. Other women dream of such a thing. Anna nodded. There was logic in his words, but a bitter taste remained in her soul. She looked at the ticket, ran her finger over the dates again. 2 weeks in Turkey. Alone, without her husband, without children, without her usual environment. On one hand, it sounded like a dream. Sea, sun, no obligations. On the other hand, in 20 years of marriage, she had gotten used to doing everything together, even if this together had long ago turned into a formality. In the evening, she began to get ready, taking out summer clothes and the swimsuit she hadn't worn for several years from the closet. Igor bustled around her, suggesting what to take, and even took an old suitcase down from the mezzanine. See how well it works out? You will rest, come back lively, fresh, and I will manage here alone without you, he said. And Anna noticed that he avoided looking her in the eyes, fiddling with clothes, moving things from here to there. She put dresses, t-shirts, shorts, her bag of creams, a book she had long intended to read, and her phone charger into the suitcase. All those little things, without which no trip takes place. Igor brought her shampoo and shower gel from the bathroom. Maybe don't take them. They have everything you need at the hotel, he said. I'm used to mine. I have sensitive skin. Fine, as you think best. They packed the things in silence, exchanging only rare short phrases. Anna suddenly thought that they hadn't really talked for a long time. Not about bills, nor about shopping, nor about the fact that the kitchen faucet needs fixing, but simply about life, about feelings, about what troubles them. When did this happen? When did they become strangers? She remembered how it all started. She was 28 years old, Igor 30. They met at the wedding of mutual acquaintances. He worked as a manager at a trading firm, she a librarian. He seemed reliable, settled. Not a handsome man, not a romantic, but a man you could rely on. He courted her persistently, gave her flowers, took her out to cafes. Half a year later, he asked her to marry him. The wedding was modest but cheerful. They spent their honeymoon in Crimea, rented a room by the sea. Then Katerina was born, and 3 years later, Maxime. Igor gradually built a career, opened his own business, a small wholesale trade in construction materials. Things went pretty well. They bought an apartment, a car. They lived like many others. Not rich, but not poor either. And then, imperceptibly, everything changed. Igor started spending more time at work. She took care of the children, the house. Conversations became shorter, more superficial. The closeness went somewhere. Only habit remained. And here now, when the children have grown and left, they remained as two people who don't have much to say to each other anymore. That night she almost didn't sleep. She lay there and stared at the ceiling, listening to her husband's regular breathing beside her. When was the last time they spoke heart to heart? When did she last feel necessary to him, not as a housekeeper, cook, and laundress, but as a woman, as a beloved? The years passed imperceptibly. At first, there was love, passion, plans, then children, daily life, work. Then the children grew up, and the intimacy with her husband evaporated somewhere. They became strangers under the same roof. Anna turned on her side, watching Igor sleep. In the dim light, his face seemed unfamiliar. Wrinkles around the eyes that weren't there before, white strands in his hair. They had both aged, changed, or maybe they had simply forgotten to see each other. The next morning, she called work, citing family reasons. The library director, Marina Sergeyevna, treated the situation with understanding. Anna was a responsible employee. She never took days off without a good reason. Rest, Anna Petrovna. You really deserve it. How many years have you been working with us? For 18, and you never disappointed us. The 2 weeks will pass quickly. We will manage here. Thank you, Marina Sergeyevna. I worry that it is so sudden. Oh my, you must live for yourself sometimes too. Get a tan, swim, and bring photos to show us. Anna put down the receiver and felt a little lighter in her chest. At least someone had said kind words to her without hidden meanings. Marina Sergeyevna was a good person, a fair leader. At the library, Anna felt useful, necessary. There she was appreciated. Readers thanked her for help in choosing books. Colleagues respected her experience. This was the part of life that gave her a sense of self-importance. The day passed with final preparations. Igor was surprisingly active. He checked if she had taken everything, reminded her of documents, money, phone. In the evening, he even prepared dinner, fried potatoes with sausages, which was a rarity because usually only Anya did the cooking. Tomorrow we leave at 8 in the morning, so we arrive calmly. I'll take you, help you with the luggage, he said at dinner. You don't have to go. I'll take a taxi, Anya proposed. How so? Of course I'll take you. What taxi? I'm your husband. They ate in silence. The TV was on in the living room. From there, the voices of talk show hosts could be heard. Anya looked at Igor and thought he was behaving strangely. Too solicitous, too agitated, as if he was in a hurry to do something, to finish, to send her away faster. Igor, maybe I really shouldn't go anywhere. I can cancel the ticket. We'll get the money back. What are you saying? He actually put his fork down. Anna, we just discussed everything. You are going to rest. It's decided. Such firmness sounded in his tone that Anna argued no more. She finished the potatoes, cleared the table, washed the dishes. Igor went to the room, turned on the computer. Through the slightly open door, she saw how he sat, staring at the screen, typing something. Then he spoke on the phone in a whisper, but she didn't hear the words, only fragments of phrases. Tomorrow morning. Yes, everything is ready. Don't worry. In the evening, she checked the suitcase one more time, put the documents in her purse, put the money there, 30,000 rubles, which Igor gave for expenses, the passport, the ticket, the insurance. She charged the phone completely. Everything was ready. She went to bed early, but again could not fall asleep. She tossed and turned, listened to how Igor moved through the kitchen, then in the bathroom. Finally, he lay down next to her, and after a few minutes began to snore. She lay with her eyes open and thought that tomorrow, at this time, she would already be on the plane, flying above the clouds to a foreign country, alone, completely alone. In the morning, they left, as planned, at 8 o'clock. Igor loaded the suitcase into the trunk himself, seated Anna in the front seat. On the way, he was silent, turned on the radio, drummed his fingers on the steering wheel to the rhythm of the music. Anna looked out the window at the houses, shops, and stops passing by. The city was waking up. People were hurrying to work, taking children to school. An ordinary, everyday life. Traffic jams at the airport entrance delayed them for about 15 minutes. Igor was nervous, tapping his fingers on the wheel, changing radio stations. We will make it, don't worry, said Anna. I'm not worried, I just don't like being late. Finally, they arrived at the terminal. Igor braked abruptly a curb, jumped out of the car, and loaded the suitcase. Well done, this is it. Registration is over there. He motioned towards the counters. Call when you land. Igor, maybe you'll come in too, walk me, asked Anya. I can't. I have meetings at 10 o'clock. I'm already late. Anya, you're a grown person. You'll manage. All right, have a pleasant rest. All right. He kissed her quickly on the cheek, turned and went towards the car. Anya remained with the suitcase near the entrance and watched as he got into the automobile, started the engine and left, without even looking back. Something tightened inside, an unpleasant premonition. But she chased it away, took the suitcase, and entered the terminal. Inside, there was noise and many people. The flight board flickered. Boarding for another plane was being announced. People stood in lines at check-in counters, carried suitcases, looked at their phones. Smells of coffee from the cafe, of perfumes from the duty-free, of something chemical from cleaning products, everything mixed into a single airport aroma. Anna stood in the line for check-in, showed the ticket and passport to the sleepy girl at the counter. She entered the data, printed the boarding pass, stuck the tag on the suitcase. Boarding gate number 12. Starts in 1 hour and a half. You receive the luggage in Antalya, the girl said mechanically, and called the next passenger. Anna took the boarding pass, shoved it into her purse. The suitcase went onto the belt, somewhere into the bowels of the airport. Now there is no way back, she thought. Yes, there is, but it would look foolish. To return home 2 hours after departure, to explain to her husband that she changed her mind. No, since she started, she must finish. She passed security control, took off her belt, took the phone and tablet out of the bag, went through the gate. The agent nodded indifferently, allowing her to pass. She gathered her things and walked down the long corridor toward the boarding gates. Around her, people bustled with bags. Children ran in front of their parents. Somewhere, boarding for the Sochi flight was being announced. Anna bought herself a coffee from a vending machine, sat on the bench near exit number 12. She took out her phone, wanted to call her daughter, Ekaterina, to tell her she was leaving on vacation, but then changed her mind. Why bother her? Ekaterina has her life, her business. Little Nikita, the grandson, is probably at kindergarten now. Ekaterina is at work at the bank. Her husband, Vitaly, works too. She will simply write her a message later when she lands. She looked at the people around. A young couple with a baby in a stroller. The parents looked tired but happy. The mother rocked the child. The father handled the luggage. An elderly man in a hat read the newspaper, turning the pages slowly. A group of noisy students discussed something, laughing. A girl of about 20 years old sat opposite with headphones in her ears, tapping her foot to the rhythm of the music. Life flowed at its own pace. Everyone had their joys, their problems, their stories. But her? Anna drank her coffee, crushed the cup. She is 50 years old. Half her life is lived. But what can she say about herself? Work at the library, long become routine. 2 adult children who live their lives and almost don't need her. A husband who transformed into an apartment neighbor. She had almost no friends left. Some moved, others sank into their cares, communicated rarely. She once had a close friend, Lena. They studied together, were family friends. But 5 years ago, Lena and her husband moved to their daughter's place. They still wrote sometimes, but it wasn't the same. Maybe this vacation is truly necessary? Maybe the 2 weeks of solitude at the sea will help her sort herself out, understand what she wants from the rest of her life? 50 is not yet old age. Maybe it's time to change something before it's too late. Finally, they announced the start of boarding for her flight. Anna got up, took her bag, walked toward the exit. People had already started to gather at the counter, holding out boarding passes. She stood in line, took her ticket out of her bag pocket. Flight to Antalya, window seat, as she requested at check-in. Just a few more minutes and she will get on the plane, fly to another country. For 2 weeks, she will leave behind this ordinary life. The line moved slowly forward. The airline employee checked the tickets, smiled at the passengers, wished them a pleasant flight. Anna had almost reached the counter. There were about 3 people left in front of her, when from the side appeared an elderly woman in a blue robe, the cleaning lady. The woman was about 65 years old, maybe a little more. Tired face, furrowed with wrinkles, but lively, attentive eyes. In her hands she held a cloth and a bucket. On her chest hung a badge with the name Valentina Ivanovna. She stopped near Anna and looked at her insistently. "Forgive me, child." Her voice was hoarse but insistent. Anna turned,
surprised that someone was addressing her right now when the line was moving and she was about to proceed to boarding. "Yes, do you need something?" "Child, but aren't you by chance Anna Petrovna Kravchenko?" Anna froze. How does this cleaning lady know her name? She nodded in bewilderment. "Yes, I am, but how do you know?" "Do not get on this plane." The woman lowered her voice and took Anna by. "Come with me. You must see this. It is very important." What flight? I don't understand." The line advanced. The passenger in front presented her ticket and passed toward the exit. Now, in front of Anna, only 2 people remained. "Come, please."
"I have little time. I will explain to you now, but this concerns you and your husband." In the cleaning lady's eyes, there was something that made Anna become alert. Not a threat, no, rather concern, and a maternal determination. "My husband? What happened?" "Not here. Come." Anna looked toward the boarding counter. Only one person remained before it. The airline employee was already looking in her direction, waiting for her to approach. The plane was waiting. The vacation was paid for. The hotel reserved. 2 weeks of rest at the sea. But something in this woman's voice, in her gaze, made Anna hesitate. It wasn't the look of a madwoman. It was the look of a person who knows something important and is trying to warn. "Wait a minute," Anna told the employee at the counter and stepped out of the line. A few passengers behind murmured discontentedly, but she was already walking after the cleaning lady, who headed quickly toward a service door to one side of the boarding exit. Valentina Ivanovna took an access card out of her robe pocket, put it on the reader, and the door opened with a slight click. They found themselves in a narrow service corridor where it smelled of cleaning products and stale air. The walls were painted beige. On the floor was worn linoleum. Somewhere in the distance, fans hummed. "What is happening? Explain to me, please." Anna felt her heart beating faster. Fear hadn't come yet, but anxiety was already creeping into her chest. "I will show you now. Just come after me." They walked about 20 meters down the corridor, past a few doors with personnel, warehouse, technical room signs. Finally, Valentina Ivanovna stopped near a small break room for employees. Inside was an old sofa, a table, a microwave, a kettle. On the table lay a worn brown leather folder. "Here, look." The woman took the folder and handed it to Anna. "I found it 1 hour ago at the check-in counter. Someone forgot it. I wanted to take it to the Lost and Found office. I opened it to see if there were any documents with the owner's name there, and I saw your name. Anna Petrovna Kravchenko. Something else. Well, look for yourself." Anna took the folder with trembling hands, opened it. Inside were several documents. The first, a power of attorney. She ran her gaze over the lines and froze. I, Kravchenko Anna Petrovna, passport series, number. Authorize Kravchenko Igor Vladimirovich, passport series, number. The right to perform in my name all necessary actions related to the alienation, sale, donation of real estate, namely the apartment located at the address, followed by the address of their apartment, the same one they bought 15 years ago, which was in both their names, hers and Igor's. What is this? Where is this from? Anna's voice trembled. Look further, said Valentina Ivanovna quietly. Anna turned the page. The next document, a preliminary sale purchase contract. The apartment was being sold for 5 million rubles. The buyer, a certain Kravchenko Oleg Vladimirovich. The transaction date, in 3 days. Exactly 3 days after her flight to Turkey. Oleg Vladimirovich, he is Igor's brother, whispered Anna. Her legs gave way and she sat on the sofa. The folder slipped from her hands and fell to the floor. The documents scattered. Valentina Ivanovna sat next to her, gathered the papers. Child, I am not a lawyer, but I understand what this means. Your husband intended to sell the apartment to his brother while you are on vacation.
By power of attorney, and you would have found out about it only when you returned, or maybe you wouldn't even have found out immediately. Anna sat powerless to move. Fragments of thoughts, memories ran through her head. the sudden vacation, Igor's insistence, his agitation, the strange phone conversations. Tomorrow morning, yes, everything is ready. Don't worry. He was talking to his brother, agreeing on the transaction. But the signature, that is not my signature on the power of attorney. Anna took the document, looked again at the signature at the bottom of the page. The signature resembled hers, but it wasn't identical. A forgery. A bad forgery, if you looked closely. Child, do you think the notary will look so closely?
Especially if your husband comes with the passport, with the documents, says the wife is away, and gave a power of attorney. And on top of that, he sells to his brother, so it's a family business. Everything is clean. He will put the stamp and forget. Anna felt a wave of fury rising inside her. 20 years of marriage. 20 years she believed in this man, bore him children, kept the house, worked, put money aside for the apartment, their common asset, and he intended to sell everything behind her back, to his brother, for a measly $5 million, which then probably they will split in half, or Igor will keep everything for himself. Why are you showing me this?
Why didn't you simply take it to Lost and Found? Asked Anna, raising her eyes to the cleaning lady. Valentina Ivanovna sighed, passed her hand over her face. I had a similar story, child. Many years ago, my husband cheated on me too, sold the house we had built together. I was working 2 jobs to pay the credit, and he sold everything to his sister. When I found out, it was too late. The papers were done, the money had disappeared. He left with another woman. I remained with nothing. 30 years have passed, but I still remember how it was. Therefore, when I saw these papers, saw your name, I understood that I cannot simply take this to Lost and Found. I had to warn you.
Anna looked at this unknown woman, who could have passed by, pretended she saw nothing, simply done her job and forgotten. But she didn't pass by. She risked, interrupted her work, found her in the crowd of passengers, stopped her. Thank you. Anna's voice sounded hoarse. Thank you. You saved me. For nothing, child. Just don't let him do this. Run home, block everything possible. Go to a lawyer, to a notary. Declare that you gave no power of attorney. There is still time. Anna jumped to her feet, snatched all the documents from the folder, shoved them into her bag. And leave this folder here, said Valentina Ivanovna. If your husband realizes he lost the papers, he will come to look. I will say I found nothing. You take only the papers. You need them as proof. Anna nodded. Her hands were trembling. Her thoughts were flying. She must return urgently, immediately. Every minute counts. How can I get out of here? Go back down the corridor, through the same door we entered. Or I can take you out toward the main exit of the terminal. It's closer. Toward the exit, please. I need a taxi, urgent. Valentina Ivanovna nodded and led her down another corridor, wider. They came out at the service exit, where a few airport employees were smoking. The woman waved her hand toward the taxi stand. Look there, see? Good luck, child, and don't let yourself be trampled on. Thank you enormously. Anna impulsively hugged the cleaning lady, pressed her to her chest. You can't imagine what you have done for me. I imagine. Come on, go. There is no time to lose. Anna ran toward the taxi stand. The plane to Antalya will take off without her. The vacation will be lost. But all these are trifles compared to what she just found out, compared to the betrayal that was about to happen. She took out her phone, dialing the number of her friend, Olga, who worked as a lawyer while walking. Olga, with whom they had once studied together at the institute, then lost touch, but 3 years ago met by chance at the polyclinic and started communicating again. Olga answered after the 3rd call. Anna, is that you?
Shouldn't you be in Turkey?
Olga, I urgently need your help. Urgent. It's about real estate, fraud, powers of attorney, my husband. Her voice broke. Anna stopped next to the taxi, opened the door, sat on the back seat. Go into the city, on Peace Street, number 23.
she told the driver, and pasted the phone to her ear again. Olga, can you meet with me right now? It is very important, very. I am at work, but for you I'll come out. What happened? My husband is trying to sell our apartment behind my back. I have the documents, the evidence. I must urgently block everything, revoke the power of attorney that I did not give, file a complaint. I don't know what else. Will you help me? My God, Anna, of course I will help you.
Come to my office. Do you remember the address? I'm freeing myself now and waiting for you. Just bring all the documents you have and your passport, and generally everything related to the apartment. Thank you, Olga. Thank you. The taxi set in motion. Anna leaned back on the seat rest, closed her eyes. Her hands were still trembling. In her head was fog, but through it broke a single clear thought. She found out in time. She will succeed in stopping this. She will not let herself be fooled. The taxi raced through the city, and Anna looked out the window, seeing nothing around. In her head, the same thoughts were spinning. How could he? 20 years together, 2 children, a common life, common memories.
And look, so simply, to take and betray. For money, for the apartment. She took the documents out of her bag, ran her gaze over the lines once more. The power of attorney was made 3 days ago. It means Igor planned this in advance. He bought the vacation not out of care, not out of love. He wanted to push her aside for a time while he makes the transaction. 2 weeks in Turkey, a sufficient term to sell the apartment, receive the money, maybe even hide it in such a way that she would never find it. The phone rang. The name Igor appeared on the screen. Anna looked at it for a few seconds, then rejected the call. A minute later, a message came. Anna, did you get on the plane? How was check-in?
She didn't answer, put the phone back in her bag. Let him believe that everything is going according to plan. Let him believe that she is already in the air, flying toward Turkey, suspecting nothing. Olga's office was located in the center of the city, in an old brick building on the 3rd floor. Anna paid the driver, jumped out of the car, and climbed the stairs almost running. On the door hung the sign, Morozova Legal Consultancy. She pushed the door and entered. Olga was already waiting for her in her office. A tall, slender woman of about 50 years, in a sober suit, with a short haircut and attentive brown eyes. She rose from the desk and hugged Anna. Sit down. Tell me everything in order.
Anna sat in the armchair opposite and began to tell the story about the unexpected vacation, about Igor's strange behavior, about the meeting with the cleaning lady at the airport, about the documents. Olga listened silently, nodding rarely, and taking notes in a notebook. When Anna finished, she handed her friend the folder with papers. Olga put on her glasses, studied the power of attorney and the sale-purchase contract carefully. Her face remained calm, professional, but Anna noticed how her lips tightened. "It is a forgery," said Olga, pointing to the signature. "Your signature looks different. I've seen your documents. And the date is strange. 3 days ago. And you say you were not at the notary?" "I wasn't."
I gave no power of attorney. Never. Good. That is important. It means your husband forged the documents. That is already an article from the Criminal Code, forgery of documents, fraud. But we must act quickly. First of all, we go right now to the notary and make a declaration of revocation of the powers of attorney that might have been issued in your name. Even if they didn't exist, the declaration will be in the database, and if Igor tries to use this forgery, the notary will see that the power of attorney is revoked. But what if he already succeeded? If he finalized everything? Then it is more complicated, but not without hope.
The transaction can be contested in court by proving that the documents are false, but it is better not to reach that point. Secondly, we must file a complaint with the police. You have these documents as proof. This is an attempted fraud. Thirdly, I recommend you place a seizure on the apartment, meaning to make it impossible to be sold without your physical presence. How is that done?
Through the state register, we file a request for a ban on registration actions. It is banned quickly, within the course of 1 day. After that, no one will be able to sell or donate the apartment without your consent. Anna listened and felt not just anger lighting up inside her, but also determination. She would not let herself be deceived. She would not allow this man, whom she considered her husband, to destroy her life. "Let's do everything you said right now." Olga nodded, took her phone, and quickly dialed a number. "Hello, Marina Sergeyevna, it's Morozova. I have an urgent client. We need to finalize the revocation of a power of attorney and a ban on registration actions regarding a property. Can you see us in 1 hour?" "Excellent. Thank you." She put down the receiver and looked at Anna. "Let's go. The notary will see us in 40 minutes. On the way, we'll stop by the register. There, the application can be filed electronically if you have an electronic signature. If not, we do it on the spot. It's quick." They left the office and got into Olga's car. While they were driving, Anna took out her phone again. Another 3 missed calls from Igor and 2 messages. "Anna, why aren't you answering?" And "Call me when you land." "Don't answer him for now," Olga said, noticing her gaze. "Let him think you are on the plane, that you don't have a signal. The longer he is in the dark, the better for us. If he finds out I've returned, he might try to do something. And what can he do? Destroy the documents, try to rush the transaction, pressure the notary? It's unknown. People, when they feel they've been caught, can be unpredictable." They arrived at the register building. Olga quickly guided Anna through all the necessary procedures. They created the electronic signature and filled out the application for the ban on registration actions regarding the apartment. Everything took about 40 minutes. "The application has been accepted," said the registry employee, typing something on the computer. "It will be processed within 3 working days, but the factual ban begins to act from the moment the application is filed. So starting from now, no one will be able to perform a transaction with your apartment without your presence and personal consent." Anna felt a weight lift off her heart. At least something was done, at least some protection. The next point was the notary. Marina Sergeyevna, a plump woman of about 60 years old with a gentle face, welcomed them into her office. "So, let's clarify. You want to revoke the power of attorney?" "I want to give a statement that I never issued a power of attorney in my name," Anna said, handing over the documents. "And if anyone tries to present such a power of attorney, it is false." The notary put on her glasses and studied the papers. Her face became serious. "It is indeed a forgery. The signature is wrong. And the stamp? It is not my stamp. I do not use such stamps. Someone tried to fabricate a document." "Will you file a complaint with the police?" "Yes, we are going there as the next step." "Fine. Then I will make an official statement that this power of attorney is invalid, was not authenticated in my office, and I will enter the note in the register. Also, I will send the information to all notary offices in the city that someone might try to use false documents in your name." The notary quickly drafted the statement. Anna signed it, and she applied the stamp. "That is all. Now, if your husband or anyone else tries to use this power of attorney, any notary will see in the database that it is invalid." They left the notary, and Olga looked at her watch. "It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The police station is open. Let's go file the complaint." At the police station, a young lieutenant on duty with a tired face received them. He listened to them, nodded, and began to fill out the report. "So, like this: attempted fraud, forgery of documents. Write the complaint, attach the copies of these documents. We will start the verification. We will call your husband for interrogation. We will order an expert examination. If it is confirmed that the signature is false, we will open a criminal case." "And how quickly will this happen?" Anna asked. "The verification lasts up to 10 days, but the fact of the attempt is evident, so I believe the case will be opened, and further follows the investigation." The trial. That could drag on for months. Months, Anna repeated tiredly. She felt fatigue and emotional exhaustion taking over her. Too many events in a single day. They left the police station already after 5 o'clock. The sun was heading toward sunset. Streetlights were turning on. "What do we do now?" asked Anna. "Do I go back home?" "Do you have a choice? It is your apartment, your home. Why should you leave?" "I don't know how I'll be able to look him in the eye. How will I stay with him in the same apartment after what he did?" "Anna, you are a strong woman. You will handle it. The important thing is not to let him see that you are weak. You are going home with the documents that prove his guilt. You defended your rights. You filed complaints at all institutions. Now it is his turn to give explanations." Olga hugged her goodbye. "If anything happens, call me at any hour. I am with you, and we will get through this, I promise you." Anna got into a taxi and left for home. On the way, she thought a few times about calling Igor to warn him she was returning, but then decided not to call. Let it be a surprise for him, just as his vacation was a surprise for her. The taxi stopped near their house, the familiar 5-story block. In the yard, the playground where Ekaterina and Maxim once played. The staircase where they had lived for 15 years. Anna went up to the 3rd floor, took out her keys, and opened the door. It was quiet in the apartment. She entered the hallway, took off her shoes, and hung up her bag. From the kitchen, a hushed conversation could be heard. She recognized Igor's voice and another one, male and deep. His brother, Oleg, had come. Anna took the documents from her bag and went toward the kitchen. The door was ajar, and she saw them. Igor was sitting at the table with his phone in his hand. Opposite him was Oleg, who resembled him, only a little younger and plumper. On the table lay some papers and a laptop. "Tomorrow at the notary, the day after tomorrow you transfer the money, and that's it," Oleg was saying. "Clean, fast, no problems. She is in Turkey for 2 weeks. She returns, and here everything is already done. You will tell her it is temporary, that the money was needed for the business, that you will buy it back later. What about her? Will she divorce because of this?" "She won't divorce." Igor grinned. "She is used to enduring. 20 years she endured, she will endure some more." Anna pushed the door and entered the kitchen. Igor turned around, and his face fell. He simply went white. His mouth opened, but words did not follow. "Hello," said Anna calmly, although a storm was raging inside her. "I returned. As you see, I didn't fly to Turkey." "Anna, how did you—" Igor jumped from the table, dropping his phone. Oleg stood up too, looking at her with fear. "Are you interested in how I found out?" Anna approached the table and threw the documents on it. "Here is your folder. You dropped it. A kind woman found it, looked at what was inside, saw my name, and decided to warn me. My luck, isn't it? Or your bad luck?" Igor snatched the documents, leafing through them feverishly. Oleg retreated toward the door. "I think I'll leave." "Stay," said Anna sharply. "You participated in this too. You two planned to sell my apartment behind my back for $5 million that you intended to split. Do I understand correctly?" Oleg was silent, eyes on the ground. Igor put the documents on the table, trying to compose himself. "Anna, it's not what you think. I intended to explain everything to you. I urgently needed money for the business. I have large debts. Creditors are pressuring me. I didn't want to burden you with this. I thought I would solve the problem myself." "Solve the problem by selling our apartment?" Anna's voice became stronger. "The apartment we bought together, for which I worked just as hard as you. And you decided to sell it to your brother for a dirt-cheap price, forging my signature? Do you understand that this is a crime? Fraud?" "I didn't forge. Don't lie." Anna snatched the power of attorney and put her finger on the signature. "This is not my signature. It is a forgery. I have already been to the notary, the register, and the police. I filed complaints everywhere. A ban has been placed on the apartment. The power of attorney is declared void. A criminal case is being opened against you, so your deal has failed." Igor sat down on the chair. His face was gray. His hands were trembling. "Anya, forgive me. I didn't want to. I just—" "Shut up." She didn't recognize her own voice, so cold and hard. 20 years of marriage. 20 years I believed you. I bore your children. I worked.
I kept the house, I saved money. All this time you were a support for me, but you turned out to be a common crook, ready to sell me for money. And do you know what is most painful? That you thought I would endure, that I would return from Turkey, find out I was left without a roof over my head, and would stay silent, because I got used to enduring. She turned and left the kitchen.
Igor rushed after her. Anna, wait, let's talk. We have nothing to talk about. Tomorrow I am filing for divorce and partition of property. And be sure I will receive everything I am owed, and you will receive what you deserve. She went into the bedroom, locked the door with the key, sat on the bed, and only then allowed herself to cry, quietly so he wouldn't hear. Not out of pity for him, but out of pity for that Anna who just yesterday believed she had a family, a husband, a shared life. For that Anna who believed that 20 years meant something. But the tears dried quickly. Anna wiped her face, stood up, approached the mirror, and looked at her reflection. 50 years old. A new life begins from zero.
But it is better than living a lie. It is better than enduring betrayal. She took out her phone and wrote a message to her daughter, Ekaterina. Sunshine, I need to tell you something. Call me when you can. Then she wrote to her friend Olga. Thank you for everything. I am home. Tomorrow we start the divorce process. And she went to sleep without undressing. Tomorrow a new life would begin. Hard, full of the unknown, but honest and free. In the morning, Anna woke up early, even before sunrise. All night she had restless dreams. The airport, the plane, Igor running somewhere with a suitcase of money. She got up, washed with cold water, looked in the mirror. Her eyes were red from tears and insomnia, but her gaze was firm. It was quiet in the apartment. Igor had slept in the living room on the sofa. She had heard him tossing and sighing. Oleg had probably left immediately after their discussion. Anna got dressed and gathered the necessary documents. Her passport, marriage certificate, house deeds, those false documents she had brought from the airport. She put everything in a folder. She came out of the bedroom. Igor was sitting in the kitchen with a cup of coffee, unwashed, in a wrinkled shirt. When she entered, he looked up. Anna, let's talk. Let's talk normally. We have nothing to talk about. Anna, please. I admit I acted wrongly, but I truly have big problems with money. The business is collapsing. Debts. That is not an excuse.
If you had problems, you should have come to me, told me, discussed it. We could have found a solution together, but you decided to deceive me, to sell our apartment behind my back. You forged my signature. That is a crime, Igor, and no problem of yours justifies that. She poured herself water and drank it in one gulp. I am going to the lawyer to file the divorce and partition papers. You want to talk? Talk through the lawyer. Anna, don't do this. Think about the children. About the children? She turned abruptly. The children are grown. They have their own lives. And by the way, they will find out about what you did. I will tell them everything.
So they know what kind of father they have. You want to turn them against me? I want them to know the truth and let them draw the conclusions themselves. She left the apartment, slamming the door. Outside it was cool. The autumn morning breathed freshness. Anna took out her phone and called Olga. Good morning. I am ready to file the divorce papers. When can we meet? Come to the office around 10. I will prepare all the documents. Anna spent more than 2 hours in Olga's office. They filled out the lawsuit for the dissolution of the marriage and the partition of assets.
Olga explained that the apartment would be split in half because it was bought during the marriage and is common property. But considering he tried to cheat you, the court might take that into account, plus the criminal case that will be opened against him. This will play in your favor. And how long will the divorce take? If he agrees, then a month or 2. If he starts to contest, to stall for time, it can last even half a year. But the facts are on your side, so I believe he won't oppose too much. From Olga's office, they went to the courthouse, filed the application, then returned to the police, where the investigator had already started verifying Anna's complaint.
They asked her to give detailed statements, to tell everything that happened. "We will order a signature expertise," said the investigator, a major of about 40 years old, with a piercing gaze. "If it is confirmed that the signature is false, we will open a criminal case for fraud and forgery of documents. Your husband risks up to 2 years in prison or a large fine." Anna nodded. She felt no joy at the thought that Igor might end up in prison, but she felt that justice must triumph. He must be punished for what he did. The following days passed in a rush through institutions. Anna took unpaid leave from work. Marina Sergeyevna treated the situation with understanding. "Anna Petrovna, solve your problems. Work isn't running anywhere."
Health and family are more important. The family no longer exists, said Anna quietly, but thank you for your understanding. Igor tried a few times to talk to her, called, sent messages. She didn't answer. Once he caught her at the entrance of the block, grabbed her hand. "Anna, I understand everything, but let's at least part humanely, without trials, without police. I'll give you whatever you want. Just withdraw the complaint from the police." "No. Anna, they can put me in prison. You should have thought about that earlier, when you were forging my signature, when you were planning to steal my home." She yanked her hand away and left. He didn't try to stop her again. A week later, the result of the expertise came.
The signature on the power of attorney was declared false. A criminal case was opened against Igor. He was called for interrogation, then released under judicial control. Anna found this out from the investigator. She was sitting in his office, listening as he explained the next steps. "The file has been sent to court. The court hearing will be set in a month and a half. Considering that the damage was not produced, the transaction did not take place, the punishment will not be too harsh, most likely a fine or a suspended sentence." "I don't need him to be locked up," said Anna. "I just want him to understand that this is not allowed."
That you cannot deceive people, betray those who trust you. He understood, grinned the investigator. Believe me, when a person sits in this chair and gives statements, they understand a lot. In parallel, the divorce process was unfolding. Igor agreed to the divorce without objections, agreed to the partition. They decided to sell the apartment and split the money in half. Anna agreed to live in that apartment where 20 years of lies had passed. She couldn't do otherwise anymore. The daughter, Katerina, came when she found out about the divorce. Anna told her everything. Katerina cried and hugged her mother. "Mom, I didn't know Dad was like that. I always thought everything was normal with you two."
"Fine, it's clear there was no love left, but at least respect. It was the same for me before this case. What will you do now? Will you live on? Will you work? Maybe when the apartment is sold, I will buy myself a small studio or move to another city. I don't know yet, but I know for sure that I will no longer endure someone who doesn't respect me." The son, Maxime, called a few days later, spoke briefly, dryly. "Mom, I am on your side. Dad acted wrongly. If you need help, say so." "Thank you, son. I'll manage." 3 months passed. The criminal court sentenced Igor to a suspended sentence and a fine of 300,000 rubles. The divorce was pronounced. The apartment was sold for 9 million. Each received 4.5.
Igor moved to his brother, Oleg, who, by the way, was also investigated as an accomplice, but the case was closed for lack of evidence. Formally, he hadn't done anything, only intended to buy the apartment. Anya rented a small apartment on the edge of the city, bright, comfortable, and began to arrange it to her taste. She bought new furniture, hung paintings she liked on the walls. She adopted a tomcat from the shelter, red, fluffy, whom she named Rizhik. At work, colleagues supported her. Marina Sergeyevna even raised her salary. "You are brave, Anya Petrovna. Not every woman at your age would have the courage to start life from scratch. I am proud of you." One day, when Anna was unpacking boxes of things in the new apartment, the intercom rang.
She opened the door and saw Valentina Ivanovna, that cleaning lady from the airport. "Hello, my dear. Do you remember me, Valentina Ivanovna?" "Of course I remember you. How did you find me?" "I kept thinking about you, worrying. How are things going? Then I accidentally met your friend, Olga Valentinovna. She is a lawyer. I met her at the store. We started talking. She told me that everything ended well for you and gave me the address. She said you wouldn't mind if I stopped by." "Of course I don't mind. Please come in. I was just about to put the tea on." They sat in the kitchen, drinking tea with biscuits.
Valentina Ivanovna told stories about her life, about her work at the airport, about her grandchildren who live in another city. Anna told stories about the trial, about the divorce, about the new apartment. "You know, Valentina Ivanovna, if it weren't for you, I would now be sitting somewhere in a hotel in Turkey. Without suspecting anything, I would have returned and found out that I was left without a roof over my head. You saved me, literally saved my life." "Oh, stop it, my dear. I simply couldn't pass by indifferently. I remembered myself, my story. I didn't want another woman to go through the same thing. You are a wonderful person, and I very much want us to be friends, if you are not against it, of course. I am not against it."
I would be glad. From then on, they began to see each other regularly. Valentina Ivanovna would come to visit. They drank tea, talked about life, sometimes went together to the theater or cinema. Anna felt she had found not just a friend, but almost a second mother, wise, kind, who understood her without words. Half a year passed since the divorce. Anna got used to the new life. She no longer felt lonely. On the contrary, she felt freedom, could do what she wanted when she wanted. No one reproached her, controlled her, lied to her. She enrolled in English language courses she had dreamed of for many years. She started going to the pool twice a week.
She went on a small trip, walked alone through the city, admired the architecture, went through museums. And it was wonderful to be alone, but not lonely. One evening, Ekaterina called her. "Mom, what are you doing? How are you?" "Excellent, sunshine. Today I was at the theater, saw a new play. I liked it very much." "Mom, haven't you thought, well, maybe about meeting someone? Not necessarily a relationship immediately, but at least communication?" "Ekaterina, I am fine like this. I am 50 years old. Finally, I am living for myself. I don't need a man to feel fulfilled. If someone appears, it will be a pleasant addition, not the meaning of life." "You are brave, Mom. I am proud of you." Anna put down the receiver and smiled. She was truly proud of herself, proud that she didn't break, didn't give up, didn't become a victim. She fought, defended her rights, started a new life. Sometimes she thought about Igor. How is he living? Does he regret what he did? Most likely no. Such people rarely regret. They always find excuses for their actions, blame circumstances or other people, but not themselves. But that is no longer her problem. He remained in the past, and she has a present and a future. One day, when Anna was returning from work, she passed by a wedding salon. In the window stood mannequins in white dresses. She stopped, looked at them, remembered her wedding from 22 years ago. Then she believed she was marrying forever.
That, for better or for worse, in wealth and in poverty, were not empty words. But life turned out to be more complicated. People change, or they don't change, but simply show their true face when circumstances force them. Anna turned away from the window and walked on. She no longer believed in eternal love and vows until the grave, but she believed in herself, in her strength, in her right to happiness, in her ability to cope with any difficulties. And that was enough. At home, Rizhik welcomed her, rubbing against her leg and asking for dinner. Anna fed him, poured herself tea, sat by the window with a book. Beyond the glass, the city lights were turning on. Evening was beginning. Her new life was just beginning, and she was ready for it.
1 year after the divorce, Anna received a letter from Igor.
He wrote that he regretted, that he would like to meet, to talk, that he understood how much he was wrong, that he lost what was most dear. Anna read the letter and tore it up. Not out of malice, she simply didn't need these words anymore. Too late, too much pain, too many lies. She was no longer angry with him. She simply let him go, just as you let go of the past that no longer has power over you. And on a weekend, when Anna was walking in the park, a man of about 50 years old, intellectual, with glasses, approached her. "Excuse me, aren't you Anna Petrovna? I am Mikolau. We work in neighboring buildings. I see you often during lunch break at the cafe opposite."
You are always reading a book. Anna smiled. Yes, that is me. Nice to meet you. Maybe we could drink a coffee together sometime. I also like to read. It would be interesting to discuss books. Anna looked at him. A pleasant face, kind eyes, no pressure, just a simple human desire to communicate. Why not? Let's do it tomorrow at lunch. They started talking. It turned out they had much in common: a love for classical literature, for theater, for travel. Mikhail was divorced, had no children, worked as a history professor at the university. Anna was not rushing, was not throwing herself into new relationships, but pleasant communication, friendship, mutual understanding. She needed all that.
And if with time something more grows from this, that is good. And if not, that is also good. The important thing is that she was happy. For the first time in many years, truly happy. Not because someone is beside her, but because she is free, because she respects herself, because she went through the trial and came out of it stronger. In the evening, lying in bed, Anna remembered that cleaning lady from the airport, Valentina Ivanovna, who did not pass by indifferently, who extended a helping hand to a complete stranger, simply because it was right. Sometimes a single person can change another's life. A small action, a moment of attention and care, and someone's fate turns in another direction. Anna was grateful for that.
Grateful to Valentina Ivanovna, to Olga, to her children, to everyone who supported her in the difficult moment. But most of all, she was grateful to herself for not breaking, for fighting, for believing in herself and not letting herself be deceived. And Igor remained in the past, where he belongs, and let him remain there together with his lies, with his betrayal, with his excuses. Anna now had another life, honest, bright, free, and she cherished every day of this new life, because Thank you for listening to the story. Excuse the mistakes. Write in the comments what you think. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel.